Hello everyone, welcome to Maths and Science Intervention Club. My name is Mr. Nkona. Today we're going to be learning how to solve for x by factorizing. So there are many ways of solving for x when we are given a quadratic equation, but then today we are going to learn how to solve for x through factorizing. So the first way is factorizing. We also have a quadratic formula because we can also use a quadratic formula when we want to solve for x in a quadratic equation. And also we can also solve for x by completing the square. But then in this equation, we are going to look at solving for x by factorizing. So let us say we are given an equation, right? So let us say solve for x by factorizing. So we are solving for x by factorizing. So let's say we are given an equation, a quadratic equation that goes as 3x squared plus 11x minus 4, it is equals to 0. 11x minus 4, it is equals to 0. Yes. So that is the particular quadratic equation that we are given. So this one is an equation because we see an equal sign, and it's a quadratic equation because the highest degree of x, it is 2. So now if they want us to solve for x by factorizing, what are we supposed to do? Because in most cases, I have to open two brackets, but then here, the coefficient of x squared, it is not 1, but then it is 3. Whether the coefficient of x squared, it is 1, whether it is 2, whether it is 3, whatever the coefficient of x may be, this formula or this method that I'm going to teach you, it is going to simplify the way that you solve for x when you are given a quadratic equation, whereby the coefficient of x squared, it is not 1. How do we do it? We have what is called product, we have what is called sum, and we also have what is called factors. So now, product means multiplication. Product means multiplication. So whenever they say product, just think of multiplying, right? And when they are talking about sum, you have to think about addition, because sum means adding two or more items. So whenever they're talking about sum, it means addition. Whenever they're talking about product, it means multiplication. Then now, lastly, I have factors. I'm going to come to this one. So now with product, what does it mean? So when you're given a quadratic equation here, you look at the coefficient of x squared, which is 3, and you look at the constant, which is -4. So now when it comes to the product, you multiply the coefficient of x squared, which is 3, multiply by the constant in our given equation, which is -4. So -3 multiplied by +3 multiplied by -4, it is going to give you -12, right? So I'm going to have -12. So now when it is like that, when it comes to sum, you look at the middle term. So the middle term here, product, you look at the last terms when you have arranged in order from the highest degree to the degree of 1 to the constant in the form of ax squared plus bx plus c from the highest order of x. So now if you have arranged like this, the middle term, it is what? It is my sum. So I'm going to write 11. Now, when it comes to factors, you are going to look for two numbers such that when you multiply them, product, they give you -12. But then when you add them, sum, they give you +11. Two numbers, when I multiply, they give me positive -12. But then when I add them, they give me +11. So I can have 12 and -1. Why? Because 12 times -1, it is going to give me -12. 12 plus -1, it is going to give me +11. So those are my factors. So now the middle term, I am going to rewrite it in terms of my factors. So I'm going to have 3x squared plus 12x minus x minus 4, it is equal to 0. I did not change anything here. Look, in the middle term, I had what? I had 11x from my original equation. But then here, I still have 11x. Why? because I rewrote 11x in terms of 12x minus 1 minus x. So these factors, they still take me back to where I'm coming from, the middle term. So now whatever that I do here, I am going to focus on the first two terms and the last two terms. The first two terms and the last two terms, that is what I'm going to focus on. So now with the first two terms, what is common between the first two terms in my given equation? What is it that is common between my first two terms? I can see that I have 3x. Why did I say 3x? Because 3x can enter into 3x squared, and also 3x can enter into 4x, 12x, I mean. So I'm going to say 3x into 3x squared, I'm going to be left with x plus 3x into 12x, I'm going to be left with 4. Then now I focus on my last two terms, which is negative x and negative 4. So now with negative x and negative 4, I know that the coefficient here, it is 1. So negative 1. So I'm going to take out negative 1. I'll be left with x plus 4, which is equals to 0. Right? So now here, between my two terms here, because this one will act as a term on its own. It's one term. This one will also act as a term on its own, which is one term. So between my two terms, what is it that is common? Or what is it that I can identify as common between them? It is what? It is x plus 4. So now if I take out x plus 4, between my two terms, what is it that I'm going to be left with? I'm going to be left with 3x minus 1, which is equals to 0. I'm going to be left with 3x minus 1, which is equals to 0. So now I am solving for x, right? So you know that any number multiplied by 0, it is what? It is 0. It means any number multiplied by 0 to get me 0. It means this particular portion here, it can be 0, or that particular portion it can be 0, or both of them, they can be 0, so that whatever that I have on the left-hand side, I'm going to get what I have on the right-hand side, which is 0. Therefore, I'm going to have x plus 4 equal to 0, so that when I have x plus 4 equals to 0 here, multiply by whatever that I'll have there, I'm going to have 0 as my solution here. I am also going to have 3x minus 1, it is equals to 0. I'm solving for x, right? So I am going to do the additive inverse. Here I have positive 4. What is the additive inverse of positive 4? Negative 4. So it means I can say x, it is equals to this one, negative 4. I'll have 3x is equals to positive 1. I divide by 3, x, it is equals to 1 over 3. So that is the way of solving for x by factorizing. It doesn't matter whether you have your coefficient here as 1 or as 2 or as 5, whatever it may be, as long as you know the product, sum, and factors. When it comes to the product, you multiply the coefficient of x squared by the constant. It gives you whatever value it can give you. Then when it comes to the sum, you look at the value of the middle term, the coefficient of the middle term, which is 11, right? But then when it comes here to the factors, you look for two numbers such that when you multiply them, product, they give you 12, negative 12 in this example. But then when you add them, they give you the value of the middle term, the coefficient of the middle term. Then after you rewrite the middle term in terms of its factors, the ones that you got over there. Because me writing 12x minus x, I did not change the meaning of my expression, of my equation. I still have, I have 11x here. I still also have 11x over there. Then after you focus on the first two terms and the last two terms, you take out the common factor between them. Then after taking out the common factor, you are going to see that there's something that is going to be common between these terms that you have over here. Then you retake the common factor. Then after you solve. Thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed solving for x by factorizing. Please don't forget to like, comment,